straight going into the afternoon sessions. The topic, how we do optimize audience engagement across exhibition and distribution, sounds big. So that's the reason why we have two sessions. After it, one session with the exhibitors, let's say view, and the second is a kind of distribution view, and maybe we have some good discussions about that later. So I will forward it to Thibaut, who will be in charge in the afternoon. Thank you very much for helping us, and I go back on my seat.
Well, don't go too far, because you're the first on. Sorry. So yeah, the idea, well, as Mustafa already exposed, like, so the idea is to go through the way exhibitors and distributors try to connect with audiences. So we have 3 presentations for each slot, and the idea is to initiate a discussion afterwards to see what could be improved in terms of relationship, keeping in mind that their interests converge. So I will leave the floor to Mustafa for that first presentation whenever you're ready.
Yeah.
You're good?
I try to.
Okay.
So can you hear me? Yeah. Okay. Okay, I will give you some insights over an initiative from some art house cinemas across Germany, and we call it Kino ist viele Orte. Cinema is many places. It depends on the fact that we are showing certain films from certain places, and if you are going to a cinema, you know that this experience to go to another place. So that was the idea behind this claim. And I have to press this one. Okay, you can see so you can see the initial cinemas which took part of this first initiative, which was established in June 23, and we are across Germany, and in the meantime we are more, but that was the start. And so the reason behind it was to join the forces and to become a strategic partner for distributors. And you can see it was 9 cities with 14 cinemas, and we're making 1.5 million plus per year. And my is in Wuppertal, you can see in the center. Is it, can it, no, don't have this right. So, so initially the focus was on developing a collective claim and some visual designs to create motives for general recognition. In order to that, we also wanted to develop a flexible modular system that would enable us to adapt the jointly development of so claim locally and integrate it into our individual brand communication. So the different existing conditions in the cinemas were to be taken into the account. So the approaches, I have some topics here, and for us, most important was to increase the awareness of cinemas, because you will see later on, so the marketing of the distributors sometimes is different from our approaches, because it is a marketing for a film, and we would like to make to combine to refer that the film refers more to our places. The idea was to provide more specific information, a kind of brand building we talked about yesterday, and what was important was this kind of central coordination. So the distributor has just one partner to discuss with, and he is representing 9 cinemas. And important was this local adaptation, and the idea was to shift budget from distributors to the cinemas. That means that distributors give us the money to put it in our channels and to make more advertising for our places or for the films that we are releasing with them. This small scale thing, I will jump it over because of the time, but we can discuss it later. What does this mean? And I will start with the first campaign. It was, we had 2 campaigns in June last year. The first was Asteroid City, so the initial collaboration was with Universal, And you can see this, yeah, this motive. Oh, you can't see it, sorry. Here it is. That was the usual poster, very funny, but it could be a poster for a streaming platform or television. It's not referring to the cinema. That was the reason why we create something new. We created a postcard in a first step, and we had a fancy slogan. Here is the translation, and take off in rocket style from €8. From our perspective, it makes you curious. What is that? And there's something which is implementing in a mindset, and we did it for social media and screen as well. We have this motive. Everything you can see is discussed with distributor, with Universal, and they allow it, and they agreed on it. So and on the left side you can see the translation. It's always a bit funny in German. I don't know if this is leicht, if you can understand it. Off to the sun for only 11. It means it's a ticket price, you know. So the next film was Rumba Therapy. I will jump it here right to my. It was released in the same month. It's a collaboration with Neue Visionen, which are pretty innovative in that case. And we created here in the first step a postcard, and we took care of the stamping, so the people can write the card and we send it by own costs. And as well you can see the social media and screen advertising, and we received the budget from the distributors for it, and we push it in our channels. That means then we had a release at the same day and same time. So the distributors were able to check any activity on their platforms, on their websites, and after that, two films, we had a discussion with both distributors, and they were really happy what we did, because the branding of the Cinema Net, it was a step which is, you know, pretty new, let's say, and that becomes the fact that they said they are able to give us a higher budget, and this moved into the fact that and that was a good result, because now we can start a kind of out of home. That means to bring poster outside of the cinema in these 9 cities you saw before. And then you can see it here. That's the film Wochenendrebellen. It's a German production which was really successful, and you can see it is a kind of slogan which is, you know, it's everything maybe the same structure but different messages, and always this funny aspect in it. Oh, it is Florian David Fitz, not Fritz, sorry. I wrote it wrong. So and this is the other film which was released in German. I don't know if, do you know these titles? Okay, this is an Austrian production, this is a German production, and we had some out-of-home advertising with that. You know, it's pretty expensive, but so to indicate from the beginning our willingness to explore new ways with promoting films, we took 50% of the costs. That was the first initial achievement that or commitment from us, and but in the knowledge that we wanted to achieve 100% refinancing later on, because we have a lot of work with it. So the cost mainly covered the graphic design, the printing, and the paid advertising on Instagram, on Facebook, and for the out of home. And but before that, we created a budget through our network, and that was the budget that we discussed with the distributor. So this is another film from Geliebte Köchin. Star Chef course from just 13 euro. It's funny because a Star Chef course costs maybe from 250 euro, and so it makes you curious about the cinema. That was our last campaign, which was really nice and really successful in all our cinemas. And what was really funny was this white there over there. Can you see it? Can you read it? Okay, okay. So, so here you can see the different styles from different cinemas. That was important to us, that every cinema is able to change something. Depends on their font, depends on their colors, depends on their CI, but to keep it same. So that's the reason. Here you can see is the campaign for Fallen Leaves that we started is always the same. We had 3 different motifs in that, but are the posters, and every time with the logo and the different font. That was important to us to keep it in that way. You can see here that are the 12 films that we started with from 8 distributors. So the resonance is pretty good. It is challenging. It is a lot of work because you need a lot of Zoom conference. But I think if you can build a network in each country, it could help to get more money for advertising, because the distributors avoid this kind of small scale. That means to discuss with each exhibitor a budget. What are you going to do? What is your budget? What is, you know, it's too much for them. And so if we can talk from one central coordinator, it's very helpful. So the side effect is that Universal come to us and offered us a social media budget of 2,000 euro for the release of the film Bike Riders. Not every of my colleagues scheduled this film, and it was not necessary to make a special advertising like you saw before. So that is an effect which is very positive, because there is a kind of trust. The distributor can see that we are pretty into it, that we are serious into it, and they can see the reaction of their channels, and it was really important. So meanwhile, there are certain cinemas in Germany which want to follow us in this network, and so we are expanding in that time, so more to come. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Mustafa. The clock is ticking, so we may have room maybe for a couple of questions, or if anything was unclear to anybody of you. But we'll have some time of Q&A afterwards, after the whole session, to initiate the discussion with the distributors as well. So if you have questions, you may keep these as well for them. But I think we can go this way. We'll follow.
You are the timekeeper here.
Well, pretty much. I'm sorry, but thanks so much again, Mustafa. Yeah. Next up is Caro Raedts from Cinema Red in Belgium. Thank you, Caro.
Yes.
And over to you.
You can move with this or with this. What you have to do.
Okay. Okay.
And here you have the slide that is on the screen.
Mhm.
This is the next one.
Okay. Okay. Yeah. Okay. Hi everyone. Yeah, I'm Caro from Leuven in Belgium. I wanted to thank Europa Cinemas as well. I've had a great experience so far, and thank you to everyone here for being so nice. That makes me a little bit less nervous, but I still am. So yeah, roll with me. So I'm going to talk about how I view us exhibitors as kind of directors as well, not in the sense that we are film directors, or not all of us are, but we can redirect our audiences to, in this case, European films. So a little bit of a history lesson about the organization I work for. That's actually Fonds VZW, is the broad umbrella organization that I work for. It was initiated with the first project, the Short Film Festival Leuven. As you can see, it was already established in 1995, just by a couple of friends who noticed, well, we don't have it here. We have graduating directors who can't show their films in this city. So we need a kind of festival for that, an annual thing that only lasted a couple of days. Out of that, a fixed sedentary cinema grew over a couple of years later, which is now Cinema Z. It has always been called that way. A few years later, we were like, well, actually, there's room for another festival, another unexplored niche in Belgium or in Leuven specifically. That one is on documentaries, so it's called Docfil. And then a few years later, when as a very natural result of hosting both an annual short film festival and an annual documentary festival, we also ventured into distributing, specifically that short films, documentaries, and now also a lot of effort into short films for children specifically. And that distributor is called Dalton, because I don't know if you know Lucky Luke. So the Dalton brothers is like from small to big. So that's the logic behind it. I think that's kind of cute. So Cinema Z today, I'm not going to bore you. I'm going to go fast over this. So we are in Leuven, which is a university city, in a sense a bit like Bologna, but not as cool. But kind of like that. We have now 3 screens in Leuven and 1 new one in Hasselt. That's where I'm originally from. If you could understand Dutch, you could hear that in my accent. But we're open from morning to evening. We are subsidized to offer alternative programming, and we a way to connect with our audiences, to us, and I think to a lot of you guys, we've discussed on this before, is additional contextualization with events, Q&As, all that stuff, the festivals we organize. So what is the little technique that we use to like redirect our audiences? We use events that we have also touched upon yesterday, and also what I here call low-hanging fruits. And we actually, we also talked already about targeted marketing emailing, but here I am again. That's what we do to kind of redirect our audiences to different kinds of films that they normally maybe wouldn't come to. As an example, I used Apollonia. Does anyone heard of it? Yes? Okay, great. So we're the distributor of this film in Belgium, a documentary actually. It's a Danish-Polish production, if I'm not mistaken. It's a Danish filmmaker, a woman who follows a Parisian artist for over 13 years. You see them bonding, and it's on the female position in the art world, which is often very male-dominated. It also touches on motherhood, which is very important. But sadly enough, this is a documentary that, we think it's a very important one. That's why we distribute it. However, if we just program this in Cinema Z without anything added to it, well, it will reflect in our numbers. It won't attract a lot of people. They won't come by themselves. So what can we do to like give this film the little push it needs then? So we use successful events. So I chose this one because I organized this one myself, so I'm proud of it, and it's fun to talk about something you did yourself. So on International Women's Day this year, we actually showed another female-made documentary, actually an episode of a documentary series. It's in English, it's called She, They, Us, also premiered on Filmfest Ghent. And this episode specifically is also on motherhood. They follow 2 famous Belgian women. One is Charlotte Adigéry, so an artist, singer, and the other one was a scientist, and it goes on how they handle motherhood in these periods in their life. We decided to zoom in on the female artistry part of the documentary and how they handle motherhood. So we invited 2 other famous Belgian artists, Coeli and Salassou. I'm looking at the Belgians, that probably rings a bell, or maybe other people as well. And as you can see by this picture, it was a very successful event. It was already sold out before the evening itself. So that's good, because for what I'm going to say, because the ticket sales then means that everything was sold online, which means that we have all their email addresses. Yay! So this one event made that, because of this, we already had 76 new email addresses in our database, just because of this event. And then on the other hand, there's this what I call low-hanging fruits. That's, for example, a movie like Barbie. I don't know what happened last summer. It was great because we didn't have to do anything. People just came, the rooms were packed, and we didn't have to do anything additional. People came dressed in pink just because it was fun. So that's great. In total, we had 81 screenings of Barbie, which made up for 1,423 new email addresses in our database. So now what? There's two ways to go about this. It's actually a spectrum in a sense. You can do whatever. But here it's like with this one event on Women's Day, the people who came there, we know that they are actively seeking this kind of event because it was sold out even before it took place. So they like this in-depth programming. They like having a panel discussion afterwards. They were specifically interested in the topic of motherhood because that was like the whole premise of the evening. And they can watch a documentary, which is great. And specifically even female documentary making. And then at the other hand, we have all these little Barbie and Kens who came to see the film Barbie. Well, we know that at least they like, in a broad sense, a feminist topic in some way. And they are into female filmmaking also in a way. So then we use MailerLite. I've heard other people here who use MailerLite for their marketing emailing, but we are looking on integrating it in our ticket system we have now, which is Ticketmatic. It's a Belgian company. So yeah, we send out these very either targeted or very broad targeted marketing emails to those specific people who came. The advantages are that events that took a lot of effort to curate, like the one on Women's Day, they have kind of a longer lasting impact because of that, because you can use at least the data that you gathered because of it, you can use it afterwards for other events. And also Hollywood, not per se, but blockbusters in general, can actually help to promote this more niche, difficult, quote-unquote, European filmmaking, like Apollonia. So that helps us, and us is also the distributor in this case, to like get the numbers up without having extra spendings, because, well, we can generate the data just using the system we already have. And then challenges, staying loyal to our, well, I hear use the word brand, but now I learned maybe identity is a better one. But yeah, staying loyal to who we are, and then the commercialization. And we've also touched on this before, but we don't spam. I know we're, yeah, we don't spam because I personally have already blocked companies who email me too much because I just bought something there once. So, but I get if people love your brand or your identity, that you can. So, but that's what I want to say. Like, you can. It's a balance you have to make, and whatever works for you. But this is kind of a spectrum, and we're also just experimenting with it and what works and what doesn't. So, that was it. Thank you.
Thank you, Caro. Really inspiring. Thanks again. Once again, we'll have time afterwards, once we're done with the session, to discuss all what we've heard. That would actually give us a good transition to the next panel of speakers, because you have both a foot into exhibition and one into distribution, so you may play for both teams afterwards. Now it's up to you, Madeleine. Please tell us about the Josh O'Connor effect.
Yeah, it's that point in the lab now where we're just going to look at pictures of Josh O'Connor. I feel we've worked hard enough. No, joking aside, really this is a bit more of a provocation for the group about European stars, and I'm including the UK in this. I think we are still European, really. So yeah, I welcome you to Watershed in Bristol in the UK. We're about an hour and a half from London, kind of the west side, university city with, you know, we're blessed with a very mature art house kind of audience. And here you have a very packed screening, and a very hot screening, because actually our air conditioning had packed up that day. So we really took people to La Chimera in a very immersive way. It was a packed screening full of young people, and for us it's a rare sight for an Italian film in a very challenging market, the UK market, for what we call rather dismissively foreign language films. So anything that isn't English. So it was really joyous to see that. Yeah, and the point, well, the conversation I'm trying to open up with everyone here is the fact that Europe has always had a very strong tradition of stars, on-screen stars, from Belmondo to Sophia Loren, Penelope Cruz, Sean Connery, Juliette Binoche. The list goes on. Stars that could almost like just sell a film on its own. And we've also got, I'm just looking for the arrows there. We also have a strong tradition of auteurs that have been championed by great festivals like Cannes, most notably, like Agnès Varda, Truffaut, Almodovar, and so on. Again, Haneke, maybe 10 years ago at Watershed, you could just put on a Haneke film for 4 weeks and it would just do brilliant business. I think those days have gone, and we can get into that over a drink. So really my question to us as a sector, what about now? Can we think of any or many European actors or auteurs that guarantee a ready-made audience? Perhaps some. We saw Wim Wenders has become a bit of a rock and roll star, and making that kind of return with Perfect Days. And there are others like Lantimos, Guandadino. So that there are people out there and rising stars like Céline Sciamma and Sandra Hüller with the whole Oscar hype. So there is definitely some hope. And of course, bringing it back to Josh, there is Alice Rochvacher, who's an interesting, a different type of stars. So perhaps if we're witnessing the start of a new star system, but one that has less to do with just awards, but stems from a more complex mix of fashion trends, personal brands that are built on specific values, connect with specific communities of interest, and chime with agendas like access and inclusion, or Me Too, or making the world a better place, whose influence can be then leveraged by cinemas. And it's also perhaps a world where we can lean more into more alternative kind of grassroots movements. So there you've got the Girls on Top brand, which has become quite a big brand for female directors, doing their thing, getting behind the film, getting behind Alice as a brand. And this T-shirt was actually commissioned as part of an initiative by UK exhibitors that are part of the Film Audience Network, and were getting behind that specific film. So we did a partnership. Now finally you get to see him. Here we go. So hello Josh. So yeah, and I think in the case of Josh, he's clearly managed to transcend the kind of film bubble, and he's kind of become this amazing brand. He's in style mags. He's cutting across high-end TV with much more commercial titles, like Challengers, and is also managing to fit in beautiful art house film like Chimera. Saying that, like Chimera, sorry, thank you. Chimera, it's Chimera. So despite all of that, we were still very nervous about screening like Chimera, and it does make me a bit sad to think that a cinema like Watershed should be nervous about playing a film like that. But we were, and the we were just not expecting that much from it, in all honesty. That was until we were lucky enough to be offered a Q&A with Josh by Curzon Distribution, and that really turned around the film for Bristol. I think there were a number of factors. It's very rare that a cinema outside of London gets an actual star from a film. It almost never happens. So there were a number of factors. Josh is from the southwest, from our region originally. He goes to Watershed with his family, and we are an hour and a half on a train journey from London. So there were a lot of things that came together. But for me, it was really a reminder of, the power of the star power. I mean, people were going crazy within the cinema, the audience, online. We had such high engagement with, whatever we put out. It was like this huge level of excitement. And it had huge impact on the performance of the film. At our cinema, we became the highest performing venue outside of London, bearing in mind our ticket prices are much, much lower than London. So we probably, in terms of admissions, we were like up there. And yeah, that we kept the film running for 7 weeks, which I was so happy about because I was expecting keeping it for 2 weeks. And took, over £20,000, 21.5 thousand at the box office to date, and we're still playing it now, which is very, very rare now these days for a foreign language film. We really maximized the opportunity because it's so rare that we're given this kind of gift. So we mobilized local bloggers. We turned our red office sofa into a kind of like interview corner. We filmed bits of the Q&A. We worked closely with Curzon on like the lovely assets that they'd created to kind of do competitions to keep the hype going. And it was the kind of gift that kept on giving because Josh was so generous about being in his kind of hometown venue. It was brilliant. So it just leaves me with small conclusion. Really, how do we convince more stars, not just directors, to go out on the road and to engage with grassroots activities outside of the capital cities? How can we work more closely with distributors, sales agents, and the stars themselves to ensure that European films connect with our local audiences, and also recognize that cinemas can play a role in making those stars as well? So, we ended up actually creating quite a lot of hype for the film across the UK because it was such a novelty for someone to come out. Whereas in London, it's like, well, yeah, this happens all the time. So that is my plea to the distributors. Thank you very much. Okay, cool. Right, okay.
It does work. Thank you so much, Maddie. We do have 5-6 minutes before we move to the next panel. So could you kindly, Caro and maybe Mustafa, join Maddie for like 5-6 minutes so we get to receive maybe a few questions prior to the distributor's view. And I may start with one for the three of you, actually, which would offer us a good transition for the next speakers. What would be your expectations or wishes towards distribution yourself as exhibitors, and one thing that you could change as it stands now? It's for the three of you, but if one of you want to answer this one, and I can move with the microphone as well.
Do you want to start? I can start if you want. I think for me it's like having a dialogue with distributors so that you're not just sort of receiving things as the film's being released, but there's a dialogue like about when the film's going to be released. There's a dialogue about the kind of assets that they're producing, and a recognition as well that indie cinemas or smaller cinemas need different assets from a huge multiplex hall. So I think having a dialogue and then talking to each other about how you spend money in a way that can really amplify your campaigns. So when we are given money to do something locally, we can have much more impact than if it's done centrally without consultation.
Yeah, I would like to agree. Sometimes it could help if we can receive a stronger commitment sometimes in a theater release. Sometimes my impression is that there are certain points to release a film on cinema, TV, streaming, and so on. And in the discussion about windowing, sometimes I miss the commitment for a cinema release. And it's important because we have a huge work releasing a film in our cinemas, and it would be great if we have the feeling that there is the commitment from the distributor in a strong way, and to make film more visible in our places.
Well, I'll take your place then. I will add something. I also think these days having flexibility on terms, flexibility on, and I don't mean necessarily the costs, but the number of shows that you're expected to screen, recognizing that different cinemas with just one space, might play a film across a long period of time and just play it thin, and that's fine. Like recognizing there's different models, and different types of spaces, and also different sizes of environment. If you have a city like Bristol, it's quite a big city, we can take quite a lot of audiences, but I work with much smaller venues across my region, and it's much more difficult for them to kind of galvanize an audience on an opening weekend. They might prefer to play a film like once a week for 6 weeks or something. So yeah, flexibility.
Yeah, flexibility, yeah.
We may have time for maybe just a question, or if you... Yeah, Panos?
Hello, congratulations for the presentations. I would like to ask Maddie. I know that Bristol was very near London, so maybe Josh O'Connor didn't stay in Bristol, or he didn't have time, or I don't know. But in case there is like a city which is far away from London, and you have to cover expenses, I don't know, accommodation, transportation, food, etc. Who pays for that? Pays the exhibitor or the distributor, or you discuss?
I mean, we were lucky with this one because his family lives like half an hour from us. But usually we would expect the distributor to pay. But then what we will do is do loads of local marketing. We'll do local press. We'll really push the event in a big way and sell it out, and we'll look after all that side of it, and we'll buy them dinner in our cafe bar and some drinks.
Thanks again to the three of you. We'll have more time afterwards, after the next...
I wanted to ask how you collect them. Do they know that you're gonna do they have to tick an agreement that they're gonna be sent some newsletters, or how do you do that? Because, yeah.
I think if they provide us with their email, we have they buy the ticket online, so we have to send it to them. So we have their email, and we can email them as long as we put in the bottom of the mail, we sent you this email because you visited our venue in the last couple of this period of time. And here's a link to unsubscribe. So they're always free to, of course, unsubscribe, and then they will be no longer in this target group, and they won't receive any more emails. So it's like that. If you just put it at the bottom, you can, at least in Belgium. I think in Europe.
Thank you and bravo.
So I have here some from our postcards if you want. Check it. It's here.
Okay, so we'll now move to the distributor views. with the same purpose, like getting to know how they try to connect with audiences. And our first speaker for that panel will be you, Irene Musumeci. Do I pronounce it well? Okay, Irene Musumeci, marketing director at MUBI. So thank you for coming, for one thing, because it wasn't an easy thing, I guess, with your schedule. With a presentation entitled "Do Not Expect Too Much from the End of the World: Marketing Strategies for Flexible Release Models." Case study.
All right. Okay, that's perfect. Thank you. Hi, can everybody hear me if I speak like this? Hi, I'm Irene. I'm from Bologna. I lived in London for a very long time. I was formerly working in exhibition, a cousin, so it's very nice to see my colleagues doing amazing work with you guys. I now work for MUBI. I'm marketing director for global campaigns, and I should clarify that MUBI does a lot of things. I'll just go through this very quickly in this presentation. We are primarily, as you know, a streaming platform, but we're also a theatrical distributor, and I don't look after our theatrical campaigns. I will clarify that from the go. I'm in charge of leading our campaigns for what we call hybrid releases, which are releases that are strategically decided. You know, we have release strategies that involve event-based releases or straight-to-platform releases. And the hybrid releases are a mix of these, and sometimes these releases will have full theatrical release in some countries and not others. And my biggest sort of point in explaining this is to say that flexibility is also very important from a distribution perspective. If we lose money on everything that we do, we cannot help you, and we cannot help the film industry. So we have to make these decisions, and sometimes it's a really tough decision. At MUBI, we love cinemas. We work with exhibitors wherever we can. We do a lot of initiatives that involve exhibition, but we also very much care for the films that we release, and we want to make sure that they reach audiences, and therefore we have to make compromises at times that involve this sort of approach. So when we acquired Do Not Expect Too Much from the End of the World, which I hope is a film that you have seen because I think it's a masterpiece, by Romanian director Radu Jud, we had a challenge. We knew that the film was 3+ hours long. It was in Romanian. It's in 3 different sections that are very complex. It has a central star who is brilliant and certainly a breakout actress, but not very well known outside of Romania. The film is in black and white, shot in Super 16. Plus, it involves cuts from an existing Romanian film from the 1980s, which is in color, and then sections that are filmed in a sort of extended final sequence in one take. So a very, very complex sort of marketing piece to convey all of this about the film, and many different challenges according to territory. I'm just going to do a quick overview of what MUBI does, just so that you have a sense of where we are coming from. So we're a global streaming service, we're a production company as well, and film distributor dedicated to elevating great cinema. We are all about discovering ambitious new films, and we really love working with iconic directors and emerging auteurs especially. So finding this combination of a recognizable art house filmmaker like Radu Jud, who has won several major festival prizes, with this leading actress. These were 2 unique selling points to us as distributors. We have a very wide community of film lovers, and because MUBI has a streaming platform and the website is available in 190 countries and has about 16 million members around the world, probably actually a bit more now since this presentation is a couple of years old, we are well positioned to make sure that we know how to cater to this community. We have a lot of data about them. This is kind of an overview of everything that we do. So at the center is the streaming platform, but we also have acquired the Match Factory, which is a world sales and production company. We have a sub-brand called MUBI Releases. These are all of our releases that you will meet as exhibitors in your cinemas. So these are releases that are acquired specifically for full theatrical distribution and then eventually get to MUBI. And for these, we have full release models that involve windows that may change from country to country. according to local regulations, but also to the strategy that we decide to apply to these. And we also have a MUBI Go, which is an app which provides subscribers to MUBI with a special subscription that allows them to get a free ticket to a film that's programmed in cinemas every week. MUBI Go is not available in every country, but it is available in the UK, where it's very successful, and in several other countries, in Germany, for example, and in the US in select markets. And we also do a number of other slightly crazy things. One is Notebook Online, which is a film culture website. It's a daily international publication with contributors from all over the world. And we also print a biannual magazine, also dedicated to the art and culture of cinema. And we also create an audio documentary podcast in 3 languages, English, Spanish, and Italian. These podcasts are produced to have slightly different missions and slightly different identities according to the markets that they exist in. And they very much reflect local film cultures and local approaches to cinema. These are some films that you may have encountered in your cinemas, but the most important thing that I want to pick out of this slide is that essentially we create bespoke campaigns for each of the films that we pick up as distributors. Nothing that we do comes out of a toolbox. Everything that we do is bespoke to ensuring that the film meets the widest audience possible in the most flexible way. This is probably, it's quite interesting. It's all about sort of the platform and how it operates, which is very much dependent on the curation that our programmers put together and select for us, collections, retrospectives, all kinds of different things, which you will be familiar with if you've seen MUBI. And this is MUBI Go. And this is Notebook, and this is Notebook Magazine, and the podcasts, and our community. So just quickly to touch on the marketing campaign. So my brief was to give you a bit of a case study. I've touched on the challenges of delivering this film, but we also had really incredible opportunities. So we knew that we wanted to have a full theatrical release in the US, where we dated the film on March 22nd, and in close collaboration with other distributors in other territories, we aligned on that date, so that, for example, in Argentina and several Latin American markets, where we had streaming rights only to the film, the theatrical distributors decided to go on the same date so that we could collaborate. And they, for example, collaborated with us on materials, because we tend to create our own materials for absolutely every film that we put out, including films that just go straight to the platform. We'll cut trailers, we create posters and assets, dedicated visual identities, and we found really substantial collaborations with other distributors, and we also knew that we had a streaming window and went out on May the 3rd exclusively in the US, Canada, Latin America, Turkey, India, Germany, Netherlands, plus several other what we call rest of the world territories, which are territories where we don't have dedicated marketing teams or localization teams. So as you can imagine, we cannot have the same approach to bring in the same film to all of these markets. There are markets that are wildly different in terms of their art house cinema consumption, and particularly where it comes to European films, there are several challenges. There's the challenge of languages. Several of these countries have traditions such as dubbing. Some have issues with cursing, representation of the LGBTQ community, or various different sort of cultural perceptions. And so we need to make sure that whatever we create can function in all these languages. In order to do that, we have dedicated marketing teams in our key territories. We take their feedback. They're very involved in how we present the campaigns and what sort of release strategy and marketing campaigns we create in each one. So the campaigns are not just localized, but they're really created to be existing in various different cultural contexts. So we work in different languages. We also have dedicated social channels in all of these key territories, where, for example, as a global team, we will send some suggested copy and suggested centralized assets, but then they have the opportunity to change that copy or to adapt it. So we don't do a sort of one-size-fits-all approach. We also obviously use all the digital paid activities and channels that are available, and we do, this is very, very important, we do local marketing activations. So we work with a lot of exhibition partners and a lot of partners even in the media, influencer sphere, and kind of anything that we think is a suitable marketing challenge that's very, very localized and very grounded. This is really important to us because whenever we do events-based releases working with local exhibitors, we also bring marketing with us. So we will pay for local influencers to come to the screening. We'll have a guest list. We support them coming over. And we also take care of, there was a question earlier about who covers the costs of talent travel. Well, in these cases, we do. So we ensure that our global budget will cover travel, accommodation, per diems, sometimes very eccentric riders for the various talent that we work with. Not in this case. In this case, Ilinka was an absolute joy to work with. But we do support them, and we make sure that talent are well looked after so that they can actually work in favor of the local exhibitors, the local audiences. We also work in collaboration with local press agencies that we hire on a retainer every year in our key territories so that they can also activate their channels, so that when we bring talent to all these different countries, talent also do press junkets and they meet local journalists, and there's local and very heavily local reviews, not just in the main broadsheets, but also working with blogs, with, again, influencers and all kinds of digital media. These are some examples of our materials which we create in-house. We kind of talked about this quite briefly. The trailer is amazing. I wanted to show it, but I don't think we've got time. It's full of expletives and very enjoyable, very much in line with the film. And these are some of the social assets that we created for the film. These are not working, but they are animated. We do a lot of GIFs and a lot of kind of really attractive, quick to kind of share and put out in the world, and we use TikTok a lot. We also create merchandise, so we made these bumper stickers that you can see here. We made some Barbie adjacent inspired. If you know Bobita, I'm sure Bobita lives in some kind of Barbie world, and t-shirts. And the way this works for us is we create these designs centrally with our creative team based in London, and then the local teams can print them and make them and put them out into the world when they come to put it out the campaign. I'm going to skim through this because it's a bit boring, but it's fundamental. We do a lot of email marketing and push notifications directly to our database, and this is not just to say when the film is coming to the platform, but it's really following the entire theatrical or event-based release. So we alert our audience, our existing loyal subscribers, to the fact that they can see a film in cinemas. So these are all the different emails. We try to work a lot with digital marketing as well. I'm going to go very quickly through this, and if anybody's got any questions, we can kind of come back to it. But we have quite substantial spends on paid because this really drives a lot of interest. So this is one interesting way of working with talent. Like we were talking about European stars earlier. So this is Ilinka Manolake, who is quite a well-known performance artist and actress in Romania. And if you've seen the film, you know that she created this character, who is an agent of chaos called Bobita, who is a hypersexed, quite wild guy. And this character sort of exists to be a bit of a take on widespread misogyny on the internet, and plays a crucial role in the film. And we recruited Bobita to be part of our campaign. So we sent Bobita around various different countries in Europe. And here, for example, Bobita in Berlin went to eat at this kebab shop where Kanye West ate just a week earlier. So we just sent her. Ilinka was really game in this, and she turned up at various different places. She also went on a pro-Palestine march and filmed some content as Bobita as it was happening in Berlin. She went to the red light district in Amsterdam with hilarious consequences that are to be taken down from our channels. But we sort of try to create materials that are very much speaking the language of a young audience, which is our bread and butter. And in order to do that, you really have to win the trust of the talent that you're working with. So you have to explain to them what the campaign will entail, explain to them how it's going to work, and hope that they're actually available and willing to play. And when you have people like Josh O'Connor or people like Ilinka, it's an absolute joy because they really enjoy taking part and they can see the value that they bring to the film overall. And just quickly going through some local activations. Here we work with York Cinemas in Berlin, where we did a screening together with Ilinka. It was a Q&A, and for example here, our local team sourced a German-Romanian influencer and music journalist to do the Q&A with Ilinka, really to kind of ground the film into the Romanian-speaking community and bring in an audience that was like the right audience for us. We also give away a lot of merchandise at our events, so you've probably seen MUBI bags somewhere in the world. Somebody said there's more MUBI bags in the world than stars, which I think at this point is true, judging by the boxes there in my office. And we also sort of gave away various different items to the audience, including some of the t-shirts and pins that you've seen. We work with local digital partners. This is a sort of magazine called Dummy Magazine. So we essentially pay for all of this to happen around the screenings that we do to activate those. We also work with IE Film Museum in the Netherlands. We had a live stream Q&A with Radojude himself, which was also full of expletives and really fun. He has an interesting collection of Zoom backgrounds that he loves to show while doing Q&As. And while he was doing this, he was also doing it in parallel. Actually, let me show you here. While he was doing a live Q&A with the audience in Amsterdam, he was also doing a live tweet with Adam Neyman, the film critic in Canada. So as you can see, like we very much work in this way that tries to connect lots of different audiences at the same time to give this impression of the film having a big global momentum and a big global moment, so that audiences can be interconnected, all experiencing the same thing at the same time, but in various bespoke ways according to their markets and their platforms and their languages and the modes of interaction with the film. This is probably my favorite activation that we did. It's with this account called Dying But Fine, who is a Canadian influencer, and she recreated the film, some of the scenes from the film, including this incredible costume and Bobita with Barbies. So it's called Romanian Barbie. Please do go check it out because it's really wild. And then, yeah, I mean, we also do some more straightforward kind of campaigns. Obviously, we buy editorial packages with advertising and various different items of coverage in publications that are respected. Especially for a film like this, it's very important to also connect it with a very cinephile audience, not just sort of millennials who would be adjacent to film. And so you can see like a more standard set of like adverts and things that we do of this kind of traditional posters, back covers in magazines like the New York Review of Books, and various different screenings. Sorry, I'm just skimming really quickly because it's only 10 minutes. And brand partnerships, we work with Letterboxd, which obviously also moves a very interesting cinephile, quite young audience. We work with them quite regularly. We have basically an annual setup with them, and we activate on a number of different campaigns. This was a campaign to push the theatrical release in the US, targeting basically their members. They can segment their database, and they can really reach people who have reviewed films by Radojude in the past on the platform, or people who watch and have films on their watch lists that are very much in line with these. So it's very exciting to be working with them in this space. This is a podcast. We do a lot of partnerships with other podcasts. And then this is a little bit about platform marketing, probably not so interesting to you guys, but as you can see, there's real continuity between the visuals that we use in cinemas and everything that ends up in the platform. And just a quick note on Notebook, we have a very substantial editorial team and an editorial magazine called Notebook, which publishes a lot of interesting content that's not strictly speaking reviews of films, but it's a lot of cultural conversation around cinema. And so we started talking about this film from way before it was even acquired, and that's really essential to us. We are interested in all cinema. We talk about all films. We just want to know what's happening in the world of cinema. It's not just about pushing the content that's on the platform. And so we had reviews and interviews and all kinds of different activations around this film from before it was playing. And finally, one thing that's also very exciting about having a streaming platform is that we were able to program a collection of shorts by Radu Jude around about the same time as the film arriving on the platform, so that the film had its own kind of release in cinemas and in non-theatrical spaces with events-based activations. And then when it comes to the platform, we're still trying to think about how to enrich that, so that it's not simply dumping the content on a streaming platform, but we add this deep dive into the filmmakers' other work, which is actually quite rarely seen, is quite difficult. And we also really enjoyed the juxtaposition between this really long film and these really short films, especially this one with the Barbies and Lego. It's quite funny. It's really good. Watch it. Plastic Semiotic. And yeah, just some press highlights. But this is more sort of bog standard kind of release campaign, but obviously getting press is still really, really important. Without reviews and without interviews for filmmakers of this kind, it's very difficult to gain the trust of real art house film lovers. They are still very much reliant on the authoritative voice in this space, and so because we were targeting a very cinephile audience with this film, it was really important and valuable to do a wide press campaign. And again, this one is bespoke to each territory that we operate in. So here you can see German press, Dutch press, with lots of interviews with Radu as well as Ilinka. Latin America, which is a really vibrant and creative market for us, Turkey and India. And that's it. Sorry, that was really fast.
I mean, no, I mean, you're supposed to stay with us if you can for another half an hour. I mean, would you stay with us? Because we would do the same like kind of panel, the three of you, so you could answer the questions, because there would be a lot to say about how you work from both like B2B, B2C standpoints, and also because it's not like your average distributor, you know, you have a lot of firepower, like the cross-media thing, etc. So you're not necessarily all the time the kind of distributor or fellow exhibitors here are dealing with all the time, but still, like, we are all really interested in knowing like how you're dealing with exhibitors as well. But we'll quickly move to our next speaker for the afternoon, who would be Vincent Paul-Boncour, director of Carlotta Films. Thank you for being with us as well, Vincent, who will make a short presentation. Are we all set, Adrienne? Yeah, we're good? Okay. On rediscovering Marcel Pagnol. And thank you again, Vincent.
Start. You tell me if it's too difficult to follow with this noise. So, nice to meet you. Just right now, there is another Marcel Pagnol event, because right now in one of the cinema of the festival, there is a screening of Merluz, one of well-known Marcel Pagnol movies that is screening in Bologna and presented by Alexander Payne, who made The Holdovers that you certainly saw, and he said many times that he was inspired by Marcel Pagnol and this movie Merluz to make his latest movie. And right now, at 4:30, he's presenting the movie. So it's a good way to introduce the work we are doing on Marcel Pagnol and classics, because some of you may know is a French distribution company specialized on classics, on cult movie, revival, working on all media. We start with theatrical distribution, and we follow like 26 years ago now, and we follow with home video. We are still very active on home video with Blu-ray and UHD. We are working also on VOD, TV, books about cinema, so all the way to talk about movies. On Marcel Pagnol, we are just representing the theatrical right for France. It's a partnership with MK2. You saw the logo at the bottom. MK2 is representing the right worldwide for on behalf of grandson of Marcel Pagnol, Nicolas Pagnol, who represent all the Marcel Pagnol movie and who made and is continue to do an important work on preservation, restoration, and also to show and to show the film on all media, and more especially in theaters. So the example and my presentation is a theatrical release in France of 10 of Marcel Pagnol films. We are representing all of his movies, so it will be follow this year or next year by other release. And for example, Merluz, which I just mentioned, is still in 35mm. So the screening right now is in film, and it will be restored and digitalized for next year. So we are doing this partnership with MK2 Film, and we are the challenge on Marcel Pagnol that you certainly know. You know Marcel Pagnol? Did you see some Marcel Pagnol movie he direct? And in cinema? Okay, just one. The French, 2%. No, but it's interesting because anyway, for France, Marcel Pagnol is a big name, not only as a film director, but also as a writer, and it's really part of cultural historic in France. I don't know at which level in the rest of the world, and it could be considered in France as something which could look in a false way very old, because we are talking of movies from the 30s, 40s. Most of them are in black and white. My generations and other people of my age and more, we all saw this movie on French TV when we were kids. It kind of disappeared a little bit, but the real event is how to make alive again on the big screen this movie that you, myself, other people didn't really see, whatever the media, but more especially in cinema, and how to reach different kind of audience. Last year I present here, certainly not the same audience, but the work we did on a more recent movie, Virgin Suicide by Sofia Coppola, which is what I'm calling it a recent title because it's something like 20 years ago. Here we are talking of movies that are not a century, but almost. So how to reach different kind of audience, an audience that could know the film, know the name of the director, but maybe they didn't see most of the film for decades, never in cinema, and of course new generations for which Marcel Pagnol is maybe kind of old-fashioned, not as known as film directors of nowadays or from the decades of the 70s, 80s, which is more popular nowadays for cinephile audience. And this is what I will show you and present you how we will try, because we don't know yet. It will be released in 1 month. So we don't have the result. It's upcoming, but we see how is the reception and how we are trying to build and to develop something that could interest all the cinephile, whatever the age and different generation. So you have some example of the announcement we made. Of course, you can always, but it's not our philosophy and how we could be able to reach different kind of audience, as I was saying. You have to create an event on Marcel Pagnol, not just release a movie like that in an art house cinema in Paris and not the rest of France. You know you have something which is really rare and unique, but you have to work on it, which is the base of distribution, and of course with all the different partners. So it's not just a release by itself in theater. We knew we had to develop an event, and so we proposed this event a year ago to a very famous French film festival that you may know, Festival de La Rochelle, which is taking place next week, just after Bologna, and which is known all over France and more. And this festival, which is more than 50 years ago now, is doing an amazing work on nowadays movies, premiere, retrospect, and classics. And for years now, they organize 2 big retrospective on cinema. 2 years ago, we worked with them on Pier Paolo Pasolini, and last year, so more than a year and a half, we submitted them this project. They were very enthusiastic, but they was doing Sacha Guitry the same year. It was already booked. So to have Sacha Guitry and Marcel Pagnol, it's 2 amazing directors, but it's not the same, but same environment. And the programmer told me, okay, if you could wait 1 year, we'll do Marcel Pagnol in 2024, and we're already at the right of the movie, and we prefer to wait 1 year and release it before, and so we postpone in a way a release we could have done last year, and deciding we'll launch all together this event for the audience, for the professional, and to develop something which is more than a theatrical release by itself. So for a year we book and we plan to work on this event with the launch of Festival de La Rochelle, and that was followed also with discussion few months after with the French Cinematheque. We'll do a full retrospect of Marcel Pagnol work. I don't know if a retrospect the French Cinematheque has been done by the past, maybe, but yeah, long time ago. And the idea, because it is also anniversary date, you know, for classics and other, it's always good to have like kind of commemoration, anniversary date or other. And this is 2024, the 50th anniversary of death of Marcel Pagnol. So it was not, for me, it's not the most important thing to communicate, but it's kind of an appealing for some media and other people. So we had these two events, and now we are at 1 week from La Rochelle and 1 month from the theatrical release in Paris and the rest of France. So you have Festival de La Rochelle, followed by the Cinémathèque Française, and the release. And so we made some announcement long time ago to prepare more for the PR and professional, but to prepare them. So how to reach a new audience with older movie from the 30s, 40s, and 50s. Of course, it's part of the marketing way to how to release a movie and to reach audience of nowadays. You have beautiful posters of the time. They are really beautiful, I believe. It could be a piece of art in a museum or other, but not really to talk nowadays of this film. And of course, always the idea is not to sell something that is not the movie. You have to be on the spirit of it and not to be false to the people you are talking. So, but at the same time, you need to have something more modern. And we made with MK2, with a designer called Monsieur Z, this kind of new design, more spirit. I don't know if it's me. And you have all this new artwork. You could see that from, so this is a generic poster from the retrospective, and after you have a poster for all the titles. And I believe not only it's really beautiful, after it's a question of taste, of course, but it's really beautiful, colorful, very lively, and still in the spirit of it, and it could bring you to an imaginary of, you know, advertising for countries, for other, and of course there is a main focus you will find also on the trailer with the actor, with the character and other. So so for that you have that would be the most used, and after for each movie. We have a trailer, more than a teaser, it's a trailer. Maybe we can show it right now, because I don't know if it's putting like that. Yeah? Prefer you to do it. Because with a mic and everything.
I have it already.
Yeah. So it's a brand new trailer we just made for the release.
Quand on joue, on ne doit pas parler. Même pour dire bonjour à un ami. Je dis bonjour à personne, je réfléchis. Eh bien, réfléchis en silence.
Il a raison, t'as pas besoin de parler.
Le son est plus fort.
Et puis je te prie de ne pas lui faire de signes, hein?
Comment, tu me surveilles comme si j'étais un tricheur?
Oh non, César. Pas de César, tu me fends le cœur. Tu me fends le cœur. Tiens, les voilà tes cartes, hypocrite, tricheur. leur dis. Dans ce film-là, tu fais pleurer? Non. Alors tu fais le traître? Non. Tu chantes? Mais non.
Mais alors, qu'est-ce que tu fais?
Le couillon.
Ah.
Comme on ne pas beaucoup, vous allez voir aussi des citations contemporaines. On est sur les... Voilà, ça va de... Je ne vais pas préciser parce que là, le quart d'heure de présentation serait beaucoup plus long, mais on s'est aperçu qu'il y avait un nombre de cinéastes, toute génération confondue, je parle d'Alexandre Payne, qui adorent Pagnol.
C'est maintenant que tu reviens, hein? La pomponnette.
Oh, coquin de sang.
Et là, on passe en revue tous les acteurs qui sont peut-être moins connus international, mais qui étaient et sont des vraies vedettes du cinéma. I speak French. But we are really a French movie and very typical, so I forgot that I had to speak in English. But you all speak French.
Qu'est-ce qu'ils ont à rigoler comme ça?
Cinéphiles are all speaking in French. So, voilà. So sorry, it was not the best way to, voilà, to see it, more especially to hear it. But I think it could give you the idea and the will, the test to show the to see the trailer in the better condition and to see the movie. So, because we are in nowadays and in English, here are some communication support we are doing. Also, some kind of memorabilia. So it's really. It's another great movie. We are releasing that right now, but it's Hong Kong, another passion we have on Asian cinema. So maybe we could stay for 1 hour or something, and let's see what will happen. So you have some advertising, merchandising we did not only for the press, the communication, but for the audience. The most important for us also is to reach an audience and to make it go to the theaters, to create a word of mouth. And as we have amazing poster, we made adaptation of it. You have this kind of all the postcard. I bring some for you as a gift. We made this great. Parlez-vous le Pagnol? Do you speak le Pagnol? Hein? Tu me fends le cœur. So it does exist also in English because MK2 is representing international rights, and I don't know to whom they maybe sell the rights in different countries for theaters and other. But as their major communication is in English, the same Parlez-vous le Pagnol? Do you speak the Pagnol? It does exist in English, and it's also the way to work on the notoriety, on the legend of the movie. You heard very slowly, but for the French audience, there are very some quotations and dialogues that are really part of our life, and but which is very interesting even for some people, some exhibitors who told us, maybe do you think nowadays audience could be interested? It's not too old and other. It's most of the time because we are people didn't see the movie nowadays, and they don't have the reality of it. And when they saw the movie, they are completely amazed. People are really amazed, not only by the comedy aspect, you have amazing dialogue and other, but the sensibility, the emotion, the passion, and this is really modern in a way, in an unbelievable way. So people, when they are seeing the movie nowadays, even if it does take place in the 30s, 40s, it's talking to you, because it's about couple, love, passion, and very contemporary regarding his character and others. So we made also. We don't have it right now. It will arrive next week, and we made a tote bag, Marcel Pagnol, very good for the summer, and some other thing. And we have also some partnership with media partner or association like AFCA. You certainly know that institution with regrouping all the art house cinema, and they are doing some label on new movie and classics, and Marcel Pagnol retrospect got the classic label from AFCA. La DRC, you certainly know, it's a very good institution with working with small and medium cities to bring art house movie and other to the maximum of cinema. And there are also partnership of this retrospect. They will release a booklet, and also, because I didn't say it, but I'm sure it's obvious, Marcel Pagnol is south of France. It's in Marseille. There are some institutions and other, les Écrans du Sud and companies that will be more than involved. But the idea is to reach all France, from Bretagne to Brittany, Grande-Bretagne, no, Grande-Bretagne, no, you maybe, but I'm not handling Grande-Bretagne rights or UK rights, but La Bretagne de France to Marseille, to the French Riviera. And so I told about le FEMA, le Festival de La Rochelle, la Cinémathèque, and now you just have to be in Paris, the 24th of July, or the rest of France. There is apparently a big event in France starting 2 days after, but there is not only that on live, but there is also cinema, and we believe also that during this period, if it's kind of unknown for all the professionals, from the exhibitors to the distributor, what will happen with the Olympic game, because you understood that I was talking about the Olympic game. But I believe, and there will be millions of tourists, and of course we will try to reach also all the millions of tourists that could be in Paris and the rest of France, to see a typical French proposition, typical French movie. You have the trilogy Marius, Fanny, César, and there will be a lot to say, but to finish, we will also have some DCP with English subtitle for La Trilogie Marseillaise, and so theaters in Paris or the restaurants, they could be able to reach even more the foreign audience, to show some of Marcel Pagnol in English subtitle. And I think that's all so far. Maybe I missed a few things, but I hope you have a good idea of the project. And you have the poster also, so I'm leaving here. That is for you. Yeah, exactly. I'm not sure there is enough, but thank you very much. Oui, je reste avec vous. Ouais, je reste juste là.
Okay, so apparently we killed the other microphone, so we'll keep going with those two and quickly move to sorry Doug, we're a bit late on the program, but thanks so much again for joining, and thanks Vincent as well, of course, for your presentation. It brought me back to moving childhood memories. So yeah, next up is Doug Davis, CEO of Park Circus, which is not only a distributor but a sales agent, so a lot to say about that as well. The home of Repertory Theatrical Classic. I'll give you the floor now, Doug.
Oh, and is there a clicker to
yes, that's the one.
Perfect. Okay. Oh, I'll sit there, but use this mic.
Because you can have
yes.
now the current one, and here is the next one, but you can use this one.
Oh, it's working. Okay.
Here, that current one.
And this one? Like that? Ah, good. All right. Hello, everyone. And thank you, Thibaut, and thank you to Europa Cinemas for inviting me to speak to you today. I'll do a quick introduction to Park Circus. I know that we work with many of you in the room, which is wonderful, and we're very happy about that. Hope to do more, but for the people that don't know, very brief introduction. We like to think of ourselves as the home of theatrical repertory classics. In this case, I'm talking more about English language, so Hollywood studios, as well as English studios like ITV, Channel 4, although we do also look after French ones like Pathé and Studio Canal. So in summary, we have 25,000 plus titles that we can help you with curation for the exhibitors in the room. We have in-house marketing, which I'm going to talk a lot about, in fact, and we work with most types of exhibitor clients, including this festival. I think we have 24 films in this year's Cinema Ritrovato. So you get a sense of the studios that we distribute for, And I'm going to skip through this, although it's useful for programmers in the room. We have a great website, and you can search via, materials, via language. It's a great tool for the programmers in the room. But since we are here specifically to talk about how to connect with your audiences, I thought I'd focus a little more on marketing. So basically my 3 ideas for you today, because it's a hot room, long day, and if I leave you with 3 ideas that you can walk away with, that would be useful. One is program more classics. They are working. We commissioned some research from Gower Street Analytics recently for the UK and Ireland market, and the fact is that the overall box office in the UK is still down 30% versus the pre-COVID highs. But the research we did indicates that classic films, as defined in our research, are up over 128%. So the audiences like this product, and I shouldn't call it a product, these classic works of art, but they're connecting with it, and the demand is there. So how do we help the audiences connect? So I'll give you 3 case studies. We're a B2B company. We service exhibitors, but one of our core functions is to develop relevant, refreshed, exciting marketing materials that will appeal to a modern audience, somewhat like we just saw with Carlotta and Pagnol. So with Raging Bull, for example, we just checking what you can see on the screen. Okay, good. Wanted to make sure that you're actually seeing what I'm seeing. Great. So what we had to present was a new 4K restoration from MGM. We did a PR campaign. We designed this beautiful new poster with sort of bruised blood-like colors. We cut a new trailer, 4K, and we commissioned, further to the idea earlier about the authoritative voice, in particular to attract new audience members, we commissioned Christina Newland to be our ambassador and write the program notes. We did a social ad spend, and also referenced in an earlier presentation was The Girls on Top. I think that was Maddie's, wasn't it? Yeah. So we had the editor of this film, Thelma Schoonmaker, as one of the women stars, effectively power brokers, and we had T-shirts with her to give to exhibition, to give to customers. So that one was a very successful case study, more in the art house side. In the more, let's say, blockbuster side of things, but as I think it was Maddie and more than one person have pointed out, the blockbusters are helpful. They keep the lights on so that you can keep programming the art house. So this was the 30th anniversary of Jurassic Park, so we did a cute little new poster, 65 million and 30 years in the making. And again, a new 4K remaster, refreshed trailer, and in this case we worked with an exhibitor to, they have a sort of, call it a menu to do a marketing package where we would co-sponsor. We did a social ad campaign, and one of the things that we find critical is for these types of titles, there is a huge existing fan base on socials. So we create new things, but then we piggyback on the existing audience of hundreds of thousands. And we tied into National Cinema Day in the UK, which was, I should probably just give that one more. This is an example of where we try and help and collaborate with exhibition to tie in with a specific day in the UK, which is about a price point, but it's also about attracting lapsed or new customers back into the cinema. And if I think I said it, but just in case, we work with all kinds of exhibitors, right down to single site indies and festivals, all the way up to the biggest circuits. So Trainspotting, to take a UK example, this is I'm sure you've all seen it. It's a classic, a modern classic, and this job is great, except it makes me feel old because I see these things and can't believe they're already classics. But this was a new 4K restoration from Channel 4, which we premiered at Cannes. We did a PR campaign, a refreshed poster, a refreshed trailer, and a social media ad spend. And we, again, in this theme of giveaways, it appears from our discussions with the exhibition that something that you can actually give either as a prize or as something on the seat works well in terms of attracting people into the audience. So we did several thousand print run of these novelty stickers, which everyone was delighted with the performance. A few words in closing. How much time have I got left? A few more minutes? Yeah? Okay, great. So we also, in terms of regular support to exhibition, we produce these quarterly brochures. I've got a bunch in my bag if anyone would like to take one. But the idea is help with curation. I think if I segment or come back to our three ideas, it's the titles, it's the curation, and it's the marketing. So we have a really phenomenal portfolio of titles, but it's almost too many, 25,000. How do I approach that? So we have a marketing team and an in-house design team, which every year we figure out what are the big anniversaries. This next year we talk to all the restoration teams at the studios to find out what's coming down the pipeline in terms of new 4K restorations, new DCPs that are available on existing titles, and then we come up with packaging ideas. So Greta Gerwig's watch lists, Marlon Brando 100th anniversary titles, Martin Scorsese season, Universal Monsters, etc. And then we also work closely with festivals to launch, so similar to the Pagnol launching in La Rochelle, we will launch a title at Venice, at Berlin, here, wherever is most appropriate for the diary and for the title. So this was a restoration of a Channel 4 title set in the London Asian community in the 80s called Ping Pong. Beautiful new restoration, going right back to some other examples of older classics and deep classics, pre-code Hollywood. So, and then coming back to marketing, I was always taught that the best marketing is the right message at the right proposition, right message to the right audience at the right time through the right medium. And so I also read just this week that the two places where, at least in the UK, but I think more broadly, decisions are being made on purchasing tickets are online and with socials and in the cinema. And so we focus on those two areas. So with our trailers and posters, that covers the in cinema piece. And then online, we really do focus here, especially for the younger audience. And we're finding, I took a taxi in with a client yesterday, and this person was really delighted that classics were working well for a younger audience in a venue that was not a particularly younger audience venue. And he said they're finding it online. They're finding these things online. So we work with Letterboxd, amongst others, as a partner where we will launch we'll usually do an exclusive launch of our new trailer, our new artwork, that kind of thing, and then it immediately sort of gets a critical mass and people start sharing and resharing. So this marketing piece online is really important, I think, for exhibition to pull in the youth audience. This is just a sort of sampler of what we have recently released and what is still to come. And you can see it's a nice range all the way from Terminator 40th to Gilda, and which is which was launched at Cannes and will play here. And so it's it's a delight to work with all of these, and there is an audience for all of these as well. This is I'm slightly busking from a broader presentation, but for the purposes of this audience, it's point number one. The classics program can help exhibition find and attract and retain lapsed buyers of tickets who have fallen out of the habit of the cinema, and attract new ones. And that is it from me. Thank you very much. Stay? Okay. Sure. Yeah.
If you don't mind,
Of course.
I'm not sure how we're gonna do that with just two mic, but I will ask Irene and Vincent, if you will, to join. Maybe Doug for a few period of question and answer.
Hello.
Well done. It's fun.
Thanks.
Beautiful. Rachel.
Shall I shut